Hello, fabulous listeners. Welcome to the very first episode of Fabulous Fun Fridays. Yes, you heard me right. You're witnessing podcast history in the making. I'm Dr. Deirdre Payne, and I'm so pumped to be launching this brand new show where we turn your Friday into the launching pad for an absolutely incredible weekend and even a better life. Fabulous Fun Fridays is your weekly dose of joy, empowerment, and real talk. Each episode blends humor with heart, offering a fabulous twist on personal growth, purpose driven living, and navigating life's curveballs with grace, grit, and a touch of fun. Tune in to get inspired, laugh a little, and leave with practical takeaways to live boldly and fabulously. And for our premiere episode, guess what? Do I have a treat for you? Today, I'm talking about something that literally everyone experiences, but nobody wants to admit at parties. Failure. I know. I said the F word, but stick with me because by the end of this episode, that I'm calling The Power of Reframing Failure as Feedback, turning setbacks into comebacks, you're going to be high-fiving your failures like they're your bestie who just brought you a cup of coffee on Monday morning. Sounds good? So, picture this. Last month, I tried to make homemade bread. I watched exactly one YouTube video and thought, how hard can this be? Well, folks, I created what can only be described as a brick that could probably be used in construction. My dog wouldn't even eat it. And this is the same dog who considers garbage a delicacy. Okay, but here's the thing. Instead of declaring myself a kitchen disaster and ordering takeout for life, I got curious. What went wrong? What could I learn? And guess what? 3 attempts later, I'm basically the neighborhood bread wizard. Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but my loaves are definitely edible now. Really, that failed bread brick wasn't a failure. It was data. It was feedback. It was my kitchen saying, hey girl, maybe read the whole recipe next time. Now, before you think I'm just being all positive vibes only on you, let me drop some actual science that will blow your mind. Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck, you know, the genius behind growth mindset research, found that people who actually viewed failure as learning opportunities literally rewired their brains for success. When we reframe failure as feedback, our brain releases less cortisol, that stress hormone, you fabulous people, and more dopamine. That's the good stuff that makes you feel like, well, you can conquer the world. But here's my favorite research study. Researchers at Harvard Business School actually found that entrepreneurs who failed in their first venture were actually more likely to succeed in their second attempt than first-time entrepreneurs. They called it the smart failure effect. Basically, failing teaches you things that winning never would. Think about it. When everything goes perfectly, you learn, well, nothing. It's like trying to build muscle by lifting marshmallows. Sure, it's pleasant, but you're not growing. Oh, look, everything worked exactly as planned. How educational. Nope, the real magic happens when things go sideways and you get to play detective in your own life. All right, let's get practical now. I've got a foolproof framework for turning your oh no moments into aha moments. I call it the fail method. And yes, I'm that person who makes acronyms out of everything. Don't judge me. Okay, starting with F. Feel it first. Don't skip the disappointment party. Feel frustrated, annoyed, or even devastated for a minute. I give myself maybe 24 hours to wallow. I call it my pity party with a strict guest list. Population, me. A pint of ice cream, and then the party's over. And I move on. I move on to step two. A, ask better questions instead of, why does this always happen to me? Which, by the way, really makes you sound like a dramatic teenager. Ask, what can this teach me? Or, what would I do differently next time? It's like being your own life coach, but with better snacks. Okay, I identify the lesson. Every failure is hiding a lesson, like a prize in a cereal box. Sometimes it's obvious. Maybe I should not have tried to cut my own bangs. And then sometimes it takes digging. This rejection taught me I need to communicate my value better. L, level up your strategy. Take that lesson and make a new plan. This isn't about perfection, it's about iteration. You basically are beta testing your life and releasing version 2.0. Isn't that fabulous? Let me tell you about some famous failures that most of us know about. Oprah got fired from her first television job for being too emotionally invested in her stories. Huh. Yeah, that emotional investment really held her back, didn't it? She took that feedback and basically became the queen of connecting with people emotionally. Talk about turning a weakness into a superpower. And get this, the post-it note, total accident. Spencer Silver was trying to create a super strong adhesive and instead made something that barely stuck. Most people would have thrown it away, but they thought, what if we wanted something that barely sticks? Boom! Billions of little yellow squares later, and we can't imagine life without them. Even in my own life, I've had many rejections, and it was hard, but I continued on. But that rejection led me to so many big and beautiful things, like discovering podcasting, which led me to, well, you're listening to me rambling fabulously right now on episode one. Some sometimes the universe has better plans than we did. Okay, are you ready for practical strategies? Here's how to implement this in your actual life. Let's start with the 24-hour rule. Give yourself one day to feel the feelings. Then shift into learning mode. Set a phone reminder that says, "Pity party's over. Time for the comeback." Next, the failure resume. Keep a document of your failures and what each one has taught you. It's weirdly empowering to see how many times you've bounced back. Next, the friend test. When you fail, talk to yourself like you would your best friend. Would you tell your best friend she's a hopeless disaster? Absolutely not. You say, "Okay, that sucked, but what did you learn?" And last, the scientific method. Treat your life like an experiment. Hypotheses, test, analyze, results, adjust, repeat. Scientists don't call unsuccessful experiments failures. They call them data. All right, my fabulous listeners, here's your challenge for this weekend. And yes, I'm giving you homework on the very first episode.
Yeah!
Think of a recent failure. You may have burned dinner, bombed a presentation, or had an awkward conversation. Now, apply the fail method. What's the lesson hiding in there? What's your version 2.0 going to look like? And here's the fun part. I want you to celebrate that failure. Do a little victory dance for having the courage to try something that didn't work. Because you know what's worse than failing? Never trying at all and spending your whole life wondering, what if? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Remember, every expert was once a beginner who refused to give up after their first disaster. Every success story is really just a failure story with a better ending. Your setbacks aren't roadblocks. They are redirects guiding you towards something even better. So the next time life hands you a spectacular failure, don't see it as the universe telling you to quit. See it as the universe saying, "Plot twist." Here is some valuable intel for your comeback story. So, keep being fabulous, keep failing forward, and I'll catch you next Friday for another dose of inspiration and a side of fun. Remember, ignite your fabulous. See you next week.
This has been Fabulous Fun Friday, where we turn your ordinary into extraordinary, one Friday at a time. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization or employer. While we strive to keep the information accurate and up to date, we make no representations or warranties of any kind about the completeness, accuracy, or reliability of any information discussed. Any reliance you place on information from this podcast is strictly at your own risk. We recommend consulting with qualified professionals for specific advice related to your individual circumstances. This has been a production of Fabulous Coaching, Training and Productions, LLC. Thanks again for joining us for another Fabulous Fun Friday, and we'll see you next week for more fun, laughter, and great talk.